Hey, YouTube family, we're so glad you're joining us from wherever you are around the world. And we have an exclusive just for you. We wanted to share just some nuggets of information to help you have purposeful productivity. I'm with Tom and Anna, and we are bringing in Linda Fields. She is the founder of 7 Impact, and she's also the marketplace ministry leader at IHOP in Kansas City. And she's going to share some ancient keys of success that God has for us. And so we're so glad that everybody, you're joining us today. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining us.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to bring these 5 ancient secrets to light.
Well, let's
It's like
start.
an excavation or an adventure when we go deep into God's purposes. And one of the things that's concerned me over the years, it's like the self-help industry is huge. It's one of Amazon's top categories of sales. And there's a lot of good stuff there. However, they often leave out the 5 ancient secrets that God has for us in His Word. And we know He is the root of true, lasting success. So that's what's behind the 5 secrets. Do you want to know what they are?
Sure do.
We sure do. Let us in on the secrets, Linda.
Okay. Well, the first one is just simply putting God first. You know, so many people are concerned with all they don't have that they forget to thank God for what they do have. So to start with a heart of gratitude every morning and just remembering God does have a great plan and that He's got you and He's got assignments for you today. Every day is fresh. And so one of the big secrets sounds so simple, but it's profound. And it's just remember who made you, who wired you for success, who does have a good plan for you, and it's God Almighty. And so the first ancient secret is to begin the day putting God first with that prayer time. I love to put out my coffee cup. I'm a coffee girl. I love to put out my Bible and journal and my prayer plan your life's productivity system. And I have an atmosphere set in my home office or my favorite chair in the house where I'm going to start the day with God. So number one is just simply putting Him first.
Isn't,
The
isn't
second,
it's interesting though, isn't it? It's so simple. I've been hearing that my
yeah.
entire Christian life, and yet how easy it is to let that first thing slip.
Well, Tom, you're right. It is so easy to get busy and forget the things that really matter. And really, that leads us to the second key. And this helps so much. When we have one big priority with our life that we're aiming for, a lot of other things take care of themselves. We galvanize our energy towards a main target or a main purpose. And who doesn't have a struggle right now with distraction, all of the messages, all the yelling, all the ranting, all of the things that compete for your time? It's overwhelming. Let's just admit it. It's overwhelming. But God's 5 ancient secrets give us a way to move forward by starting the day with Him, number one. Number two, picking one big priority for the day. I like to think about my day in categories. I think about how I'm developing my own capacity to be a better leader, a better friend, a better team member, a better speaker, a better author. And I'll do something that's growing my own ability to learn or my own leadership. I'll also have a second category about people. You know, the way we influence anybody is through people. And so I think, okay, God, who am I meeting with today? All right, I'm going to be on real life TV. Lord, I'm going to be a blessing to Sydney and Tom and Anna. I want to be a blessing to the people that are watching. And so I'll pray for all of you before the event so that I'm prayed up and focused. And then there's always some project that you need to tangibly bump forward. And so having a project that you're going to advance. And so looking at your day in that way gives you a focus. You start with gratitude, you look over your priorities, and then those kind of set your course. But I'm going to tell you what trips a lot of people up. Are you ready? Key three is how to practice your gifts while you feel like nobody sees you. And in fact, you're in prison. The story of Joseph comes up. And I love this man. He's my favorite character in the Bible, along with, well, after Jesus, of course, and a few others. But Joseph practiced his gifts in prison, I'm pretty sure, because there's no other way an individual could survive betrayal by family, false accusation, being put in a prison cell, and then years later, when it's time for him to come up and serve the king, notice he didn't come out and go into a 1-year healing intensive. He came out like ready to go, right? And I'm all for counselors and inner healing. I don't mean to be too lighthearted about that at all, but I'm saying God can heal us along the way if we're talking to Him. And Joseph served the baker and the butler by using his gifts to interpret a dream right in the prison. So I love this key because it gives everybody something to do. I mean, who hasn't felt like they were in a season of being confined or being in prison? Some people are literally in prison, but others just feel like they're in an emotional prison or a prison of their career. And if they will turn the lights on and get with God and use their gifts where they are, a lot of things begin to change. That's how our gifts make room for us.
Yeah,
Don't you love Joseph's story?
I love that so much, Linda. The word intentionality keeps coming to my mind as you're speaking. And so, whether it's in the morning when we're with God, to be intentional about that time, and then being intentional in the planning of our day, and when we're feeling like we're in a season where we're limited on what we can do, we can still be intentional about how we structure our day. Like, for example, I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and so I put my career on hold while I was there, but while it was such a blessed time with my kids, I was still able to volunteer and write and speak places and still be intentional about using the gifts that God gave me in that time.
That's so good, Anna. We don't just unplug our gifts and then someday turn them back on. Wherever we are, God has a way for us to use them. You know, another great example I think of in this regard is Deborah. She's one of my favorites as well. And the fourth key is to lead with confidence. Now let's think about this. Deborah is a mother in the house. She's a judge. She's a woman in her day, which that's already several things that are pretty unusual coming together. And she got a message from God that she was supposed to call a military leader to task. You know, she called this leader up and she said, "Hath God not said that you need to go into battle?" And what's so interesting is he said, "Well, I'll go if you go with me." This woman got on a horse and rode into battle with a military leader. And had she ever done that before? I doubt it. And yet she led with confidence. And so a lot of people feel like they're up against insurmountable tasks, maybe a battle or something you need to overcome. Others actually, they feel like their dream is so big that it's impossible. And I want to say, if your dream doesn't scare you a little bit, you might need to go back to God with it. But when you just say, okay, God led me to do this, He gave me this unction to write a book, start a group, start a business, whatever it is, and it feels so daunting, to just read the story of Deborah and these passages in Judges 5. I love just the first two words of the passage. It says, "Now, Deborah," and it goes on to unfold the story. And too many people are waiting for their day in the sun, or to be tapped or recognized or put in place, so to speak, by another authority that they admire. And I think a lot of people have put their own destinies on hold because they don't understand that you already have permission. You've already been tapped by God Almighty. He's given you gifts, and it's time to get into action. And so Deborah's a favorite on how to lead with confidence. And the fifth key, I'll just sum up very quickly here, is forgive quickly. Offense is what will shut us down. You know, if we're going to live an intentional life, we're going to ruffle some feathers somewhere along the way, probably, and we're going to have the opportunity to be hurt. But when that happens, I say set a timer, like set a timer. Don't stay mad at God or anyone else over 5 minutes. It's not worth it. And it will shut down your own communication with the Lord. So take the high road. You know, Joseph forgave his brothers already. And when he saw them in the bread line, he was so moved. He began weeping. It was heard throughout the palace. And when he talked to them, he said, "I've already forgiven you. Don't be afraid." And he said, what you meant for evil, God has used for good. And so these ancient secrets are laced throughout the Bible, and they apply to our everyday lives if we'll only mine them out and use them.
Linda, that is so good. Very quickly, the 5 ancient secrets are: put God first, pick one big priority, practice in prison, lead with confidence, and forgive quickly. I could see how they can apply to every single area of our life. Linda, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was a joy. You're all awesome doing your thing, running in your power alley. I'm proud of y'all and Real Life TV.